Hi there. Welcome to another week of You with the Oracle. I'm Rebecca Campbell. I'm here in Glastonbury and I have my new oracle, which is the Rose Oracle, which is not out yet. Last week, I think it was last week, I did a reveal and showed some of the cards and did a collective reading. And today I'm planning on doing some individual readings. This is my latest oracle, which I created with a beautiful illustrator artist, Katie Louise. And yeah, really proud of it. And yeah, the cards are so beautiful. Many of you know, and I can see there's a lot of rose ones who have heard the call of the rose on here with your emojis and your names, your Instagram and Facebook names. I have been working with the rose for quite some time now. Really since 2010, that's when I first heard the call of the rose. That's when, yeah, the rose and the beauty of nature and the whispers of nature really began speaking to me. So I didn't kind of plan to, like most creations, they kind of come through you and you're working with the energy for some time, particularly of your channel, I find. And that is the case with the rose. I remember there was a point about, I'd say 3 or 4 years ago, I had quite a busy, it was back when everyone met in rooms and did events and workshops all the time. How times have changed, and I'm sure we will be able to gather a little bit more easily again soon. But yeah, it was a time where I had a lot of events back to back, like week after week or every fortnight. And I had one event at St. James Church in at Alternatives in London coming up. And I remember saying to my friend Holly and a couple of other friends that like something had changed within me. And I just, every single time I spoke on stage or in workshops, all I could talk about was nature and flowers and the intelligent pulse of life that is woven through everything. This pulse that tells flowers when to bloom, this pulse that really is within each and every one of us. It's the same pulse that tells the planet when to spin, the tides when to come in and out. It's this same intelligence that makes all of us so different and unique. And yeah, and it's this pulse that really is the thing that weaves us together with nature. You know, for so long, particularly in the West, where we've been severed from the feminine, severed from the goddess, severed from the ancient indigenous ways of listening to the earth, of earth wisdom, of seeing everything as sacred and holy. Through us being disconnected from nature, we've become disconnected from ourselves because we are nature, and we've also become then disconnected from one another. And yeah, for me, one of the big themes that I've noticed, and there are many, but one of them over the past couple of years through the pandemic, this significant moment in history that we seem to all have chosen to be here for. One of those messages that I'm seeing over and over again is this call to return to the earth, this call to slow down to the pace of the earth, this call to notice the sacred that's woven through it all, this call to see the beauty around, you know. And yeah, many people I've spoken to seem to have heard that call and are developing a deeper and deeper relationship with nature, wanting to work more with the earth, connect more with the earth, but also focusing more on planting ourselves more deeply into our bodies. You know, our bodies are the earth too. And yeah, I think that I've always believed that nature, of course, is Mother Earth is the greatest teacher there is. Most of the greatest teachers say that themselves. And yeah, it's certainly the case for me. But I had for such a long time been drawn to the rose in particular. It's been such a big part of my own healing journey. And it was during the pandemic. It was end of 2020, beginning of 2021. No, it's end of 2020. I I was meant to be working on a different project. I mentioned the idea of the rose with my publisher, and I thought that they'd be like, "Oh no, don't that's not right for you." But immediately, and having known my story, Michelle, my editor, was like, "Yes, definitely, go for it." Oh, hi, Trisha. Trisha is an incredible Indigenous psychic. You can see her on Instagram. Hi, Greta. Greta's an amazing CEO, and she puts on amazing events and has a brilliant shop, a spiritual shop in called Raga in Germany, in Hamburg. And she runs these amazing Angel Congress events. So good to see you all. Where was I? So the rose. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they said yes, and so what ended up coming in? I thought I knew quite a lot about the rose. I'd begun studying plant medicine and herbalism, and oh, I love you too, Trisha. And she is luminous. Oh, she is luminous. Is Katie Louise, the artist. We had such a fun time creating this. And I think one time we should do a live together, Katie. I know that maybe you're not wanting to be on camera right now. If you are, let me know. But we'll do it another time, maybe. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So I ended up diving into the mysteries of the rose. And I knew, having been silently called myself to the rose, that there was definitely layers of goddess worship, it being a symbol of the ancient goddess. But I had no idea how much. It runs so deep and across so many different traditions. So yeah, the I spent a year in the depths of researching the botanical, the healing, and the mystical qualities of the rose. And yeah, all of it is in the deck. And I think the guidebook is a lot thicker than it normally is because there was just so much I wanted to include, and I wasn't able to include it all. And so I think I will follow up with a book on the rose in the future. We'll see. But yeah, so I'm just going to open the container for us all, and then we can jump into doing some readings, and we'll connect with the energy of what I call Mother Rose, but you could call it Goddess, you could call the Rose, whatever feels good to you. So we'll start by placing our hands on our heart. And if you can, close your eyes. And if not, you just stay where you are, do what you are. And just in the center of your heart, imagine a beautiful rose. Just notice what color it is, how open it is. And with your next breath, invite it to open petal by petal, revealing a light in the middle. This light is the light of your eternal self, your soul, the ancient part of you, the part of you that will live on well beyond this life, the part of you that existed well before your first breath. before you were in the watery world of your mother. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inviting Mother Rose to be here and now, the goddess, the grandmothers. I want to acknowledge the custodians of the land here where I am in Glastonbury, known and unknown. And if you know the custodians or keepers of the land or spirits of the land where you are, feel free to say their name now. And just offer some acknowledgement to them. Calling upon our guides and our ancestors. And in the center of your heart, really noticing that beautiful rose there. Noticing the color, maybe the scent, breathing in the scent if there is one. Noticing the stage or season it's in. Maybe it's in bud or bloom. Perhaps the petals are beginning to courageously release and fall to the fertile void of the earth beneath. Maybe the fruit has appeared, the rose hips. Or maybe it's been cut right back, like the roses in my garden right now, sleeping through winter, but not mistaking this seeming barrenness for the end. Instead, we know that beneath the surface, things have never been more active. So just tuning into where you are, where your rose is. And perhaps you want to ask the rose in the center of your heart a question, whispering it now. And just seeing if perhaps you receive an answer in return. This answer might come through words, it might come through a feeling, a sense, a color. Just being open to receive something, a symbol, a song. And taking a deep breath in and breathing out. Okay, and beginning to open your eyes. And coming back to the here and now. And if you feel called, then perhaps writing in the comments anything that came through for that little rose check-in. I'm just checking the comments now. Okay, so in the meantime, I am going to begin by doing a couple of one-card readings. I'll be using the Rose Oracle. So Crystal Cook, I'm going to pull a card for you. So your card, Crystal, is Mother Rose. I'm just going to bring this up higher. So this is Mother Rose here. The words here are returning to each other, compassion and humanity. You can see on the card there's a beautiful peach rose, which is just one of my favorite colors. It's actually a rose from my garden, and there's diamonds all around it, and surrounding the rose are goddesses of compassion, of feminine wisdom and force and power. And so it really is a card of unity, of coming together. And so I'm going to read for you and staying open to receiving as well if this resonates with you. A sacred symbol of the feminine, the rose has been here much longer than us. In times ancient, garlands of roses were placed around statues of mother goddesses in worship of her. We are all her children. She connects and unites us all. If we trace her roots far enough, maybe we'll find our way back to each other. We're living in a time of great division, learning and unlearning. We're together mending the thread of humanity. This is a card of returning to union by facing what's been broken, separated and severed. To realize that we're all human, and while harm has been done, what's needed now is for us to acknowledge what's happened and endeavor to find a way to return to each other. To realize that it's possible for two people to have a different experience at the same time and that both can be true. Mother Rose longs for humanity to drop our defenses and reach out to each other with deep honesty and compassion, to face and untangle the sadness, anger, and hurt from our hearts and help her grace, and the help of her grace. Which relationships, to dig our roots deeper until we find common ground with one another. So the questions here, the inquiry is, what relationships are difficult for you right now? Who has hurt you? How can you soften and express your truth without being defensive? How can you open up to the possibility that two truths can exist at once? And we're going to do the Mother Rose transmission here. So if you want to be part of it, place your hand on your heart and repeat after me. Mother Rose, please show us how to find our way back to you, the earth, and each other. Please help me to acknowledge what's difficult for me, and may my heart be filled with compassion for all. Beautiful. So that's the Mother Rose card. So that card really is about us living in these divisive times, and how when we open our heart to each other, we're able to, through compassion, find our way back to each other. So it's like, it doesn't have to be one person versus another, or one party versus another, one group versus another. Perhaps there's a third way. Perhaps it's like with the triangle, perhaps both can exist at once. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this on. Okay. So I'm going to be doing another reading from the Rose Oracle. So let me know if you would like one. Happy birthday, Chrissy. Karen Ramsey Smith. A reading for you. Oh, this is a good one. This is actually a theme for my membership content that's coming out later this week. We're doing a self-initiation ritual called Initiate Yourself, which really like honors those moments when perhaps we weren't acknowledged or witnessed as we went through an initiation or a rite of passage. So yeah, this card is really all about power. It's about answering the call, being the leader. So have you been called to step forward and lead? The thing about being a leader is that it requires that you pave a path, that you walk a path that maybe hasn't been walked before. That requires a lot of courage. It's about empowerment. It's also about soul gifts. And so this card, if it comes up for you, or if it resonates with you, it really is about stepping into your power, claiming the call that you hear within, to realize that, you know, if you're waking up in the middle of the night feeling that there's something to do, or there's this whisper that you're feeling within, if there's this passion that you have within you that's rising to be expressed, something that is wanting to be created. It doesn't have to be something creative like a book. It could be something like going for a job, or starting a mother's group in your community. If you have that bubbling up within you, this is a confirmation to go and do it. I mean, I don't think you need this card if you have that feeling, but this is just an extra permission slip if you feel like you need it. Oh, hi, Betsy. Love you, Betsy. Okay, Sonia Petrick. Card for you. Oh, I love this card. This is the first card in the deck. This is in the Rose Oracle. It's called After the Rain. And I just love it. When I was concepting each of the cards in the deck, this one came really clearly. I've always wanted to put into words that feeling of the moment after you stop crying. You know, you feel the build up of the emotions, and then there's this release, and then there's a moment after, which I'm sure is scientific as well. But from the feeling level, I think that there is nothing more special than that moment where you're like, oh. So that's what this card is all about. You know, it's about silver linings. It's about, you know, acknowledging what's happened, but being like, we're past it. We've moved through it. We've found the courage to move through it. It's really a card about hope and mercy, acceptance, and really like, I find when this card comes up, it's like, oh, thank God. It's like it's over. What you've been going through is over. And when we go through big things like that, like perhaps you have been going through, it's yeah, it's such a relief when a message like this comes up, because it's like, is it over yet? No. Is it over yet? No. After the Rain. Beautiful one. Okay, cool. So, a card for Sarah Thomas 1. This is a powerful card. This is the Thorn. You can see in there a beautiful wild rose, and then you've got the thorns around it. And then I've also included the hawthorn flower here, which is linked to the holy thorn tree. If you know the myth, there's many myths about hawthorn, but one in particular is about Joseph of Arimathea and the holy thorn tree. So there's a nod to that there, because the hawthorn is actually connected to the rose, same family. So this is all about protection, boundaries, the fierceness that the thorn brings. And actually, I mean, not all roses have thorns, but most of them do. And the thorn really protects the bloom. And so, this reminds me of like, gosh, when we want to be open-hearted and we want to give, but actually the clearer we can be on our boundaries, the safer the space around us is, not just for ourselves, but for others too. They know where they stand. And so I'm actually going to read this card because I think it's a really important message. Here we go. So here is the card. The rose is the queen of all flowers. Her soft and often fragrant bloom takes our breath away. A bridge between heaven and earth, she has the capacity to act as a portal to our true selves and call our soul more fully into our body. She leaves us in awe, allowing us to experience heaven on earth for a very precious moment. But the rose is not all gentle and soft. This is so important, particularly those of us on a spiritual path. It's not all love and light. It's the extremes of the human experience that helps our soul embody more deeply, that helps our soul to grow. So, light and dark. In fact, most roses are armored with spiky thorns or prickles in various shapes and sizes. These sharp protectors act like knights defending their queen, clearly setting the necessary boundary and conditions for her to do what she was born to do. We too are like the rose. So often we don't get taught how important clear communication and loving boundaries are to our relationships. When we're not clear on our needs, when we don't communicate them, when we don't take responsibility for them, it's impossible for others to give us what we need. This often results in a breakdown in the relationship. Communicating our needs and establishing our boundaries allows not just us to feel safe, but those we're in a relationship with to feel safe too. This card delivers the message of the importance of clear communication, boundaries, and taking responsibility for our needs. To be clear with others, we must first be clear with ourselves and then communicate this to our loved ones and to the world. So the soul inquiry here, and if you feel like doing so, I invite you to just write your answer to this soul inquiry in the comments. The first soul inquiry is, what loving boundaries are you being called to establish? And the second one is, how are you being called to communicate clearly to those that you're in a relationship with? Oh, this is a full-on card. About a year into my marriage with my husband, just past the honeymoon period, we entered what I now see and have witnessed in many couples and other relationships as well, as when you really deepen into the soul contract between the two of you. That's what we were going into, and we discovered that surprise, that each of our core childhood wounds would trigger the other, but we were also the perfect person to be part of that healing. And we read a little bit and started working with a couple of people, and then we have a family, I guess it's a family value, which is conflict equals growth. So rather than kind of shying away from conflict, and obviously this is respectful conflict and like properly expressing yourself, but leaning into the things that maybe we might want to just kind of like lean away from. And so to realize that actually sometimes when the triggering comes up between the two, there's an opportunity for healing. There's an opportunity for deeper intimacy. So yeah, Easier than it sounds, but it is definitely it's a commitment rather than a lesson to learn. I'm pretty sure I think I read it in, so there's a type of therapy called imago therapy, IMAGO. I think it's from that. So, but yeah, maybe someone already knows that in the comments, and they can do it. Okay, so Exo Melissa, a card for you. Here we go. Oh, it's a lovely one. Whispers from Mother Earth. This is really the card of the creative, of the writer, of the artist. It is all about ideas, inspiration, and being a channel. This is one of the early things, and one of the main things that the rose brought with me. Oh, it's your birthday message. I'm so happy. Um, so I wonder if you're called to create or write or express yourself in some way that is creative, Exo Melissa. Um, but yeah, the rose for me is my creative muse. I wrote my first book at Regent's Park in the rose garden there. Um, and yeah, it was really when I connected to the voice of my soul, and also, it was almost like the being surrounded by beauty, the inspiration, which is obviously in spirit. The spirit was able to come in. So a beautiful confirmation for you on your birthday. Your birthday word is muse. Oh my gosh. Very tuned. Well, this card is for you. Whispers from Mother Earth. Happy birthday, my love. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. What deck am I reading from? It's the Rose Oracle, which is my latest deck. It is Asraios. You've had a whole business on roses. That's amazing. This is the Oracle. It is the Rose Oracle. My light is reflecting a little bit. It's really beautiful artwork by Katie Louise. And yeah, if you head to theroseoracle.com, you can pre-order it now, and it'll be delivered first week of March. And yeah, and if you do go to that pre-order page, so it will give you the link of where you can get the deck. I'm doing a free event for everyone who pre-orders, so you just need to pop your details in once you pre-order. So yeah, it'll be a rose activation event, second week of March, and the replay will be sent. So I know we're all busy, we can't all attend, and time zones and all of that. But yeah, that will be happening, and you'll also receive the rose attunement, so you can really connect in with your cards, and we'll be activating the decks as well in that event. So yeah, if you want to go deeper on the rose, work with the ancient mother, the goddess, or just connect in with nature and your own true nature, that's what this deck is all for. And it's really beautiful. You can always also take each of the cards and just put them on your altar. In my team, we pick a card of the week for our team and for my membership and community, and we all put it on our altar. So that's a really simple practice that you can do. Yeah, for me, working with oracle cards is not just about prophecy or getting an answer or guidance. It can be a spiritual practice in itself, and bring a lot of beauty to your life. And in my experience, beauty is a gateway to the soul. And yeah, in my opinion, there is nothing more beautiful than the rose, hence why I made the deck. But thank you for being with me today. We'll just close the space, the container, so hands on your heart if you can, and if you want to, close your eyes. And we'll do this on behalf of anyone who's had to drop off. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And just seeing and feeling the rose in the center of your heart, that beautiful light, your soul, the eternal ancient one, the one that whispers, the one that is always there. Deep breath in, deep breath out, acknowledging our angels, our guides, our ancestors, the spirits and custodians of the land. Feeling the presence of the grandmothers encircling us, and the goddess, Mother Rose herself. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and opening your eyes. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'll be here same time next week.